Welcome back to the FIDM studio. Ryan Camden here with the All-American Reggie Brooks. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Notre Dame, Michigan, under the lights at South Bend for what could be a very long time. What are your immediate feelings, expectations, emotions going into this game?
This is a tough one. I mean, this is a rivalry that has a lot of different components to its history. Probably the most significant one in my mind is the fact that two winningest programs in the country not being able to play. So that battle is always there, and it's always in the back of your mind. And as a former player, it's something you definitely look to in regards to just from a sentimental standpoint. It's going to be missed. I know a lot of the former players will miss it, and I think it's something that some of the current players will miss because that's a fertile recruiting ground for us. So it's a lot of guys that are from Michigan or from around the Michigan area, it being so close that, you always want to be able to have that opportunity to play against, guys you played against in high school or, guys that you're competing with on the recruiting trail. So it's definitely a aspect that we lose that, would have been nice to continue, but knowing what, as Coach Kelly talked about, what's to come, the opportunity to play at Texas and Georgia, that's something that dates back to we hadn't played Georgia since the Sugar Bowl, so it creates a lot of opportunities to play some teams that have a marked history, just like a Michigan.
A lot of excitement in many facets. Of course, Michigan coming off that win against Appalachian State in Week 1, 52-14. But jumping into the series history here, and there's enough of it to fill an encyclopedia or two. The two teams met in 1887 for the first time, but then they only met twice from 1909 to 1978. The Wolverines have actually postponed the series 4 times, and oh yeah, Notre Dame passed Michigan in 2013 for the all-time college football winning percentage. And we kind of touched on this before the presser, Reggie, but your players to watch. And on defense, the sophomore from Mission Viejo, California, Max Redfield. Coach Kelly talked about it in his press conference. He said he could hear the cornerbacks communicating from the quarterback room. How important is he going to be in this contest against the Wolverines?
He's going to be critical. I mean, this is the guy on the back end, because once you get past the safety position, there's nothing else out there. So, other than the end zone. So we're going to need Max to really step up from a communication standpoint and a confidence standpoint. He has to understand where, we have a trip set here, understand where's the vertical to be able to come over the top and help the single side receiver, but understand, hey, where's my safety on the other side to get Elijah set up in a position to come up and make a play, coming up in the run game. But the biggest thing that Max has to do is play with confidence. That's going to be critical for him, is to understand, hey, I have this covered. I understand this game. I understand my responsibility, and I'm going to help get these other guys lined up and take on that mantle as the communicator in the secondary. And it's not easy. I played in the secondary. I actually played against Michigan.
We'll talk about that in a second.
And that's a tough aspect, because you got so many things going through your mind, and you're trying to get ready. Is number 3 vertical? Is it number 2 vertical? Where's the tight end? Where's am I reading through the offensive guard to the quarterback? What are my keys? So you're not really thinking about talking to somebody. You're just trying to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. But it's of utmost important that he's able to communicate when there's a shift, when there's a motion in that offense, where it changes the set, because it can easily change a back end call, or it could change a blitz.
Yep.
Hey, I have a hot read. Where's this guy going based on what I'm seeing? I have to be able to communicate that to the cornerbacks, and there's also a level of communication between the safeties and the linebackers.
Max Redfield, 3 tackles versus Rice, and the way Devin Funchess exploded for 3 touchdowns in Michigan's first game. Huge play coming up in the secondary for the Irish. And on the offensive side of the ball, another kid, the senior from California, Amir Carlisle, wide receiver, kick returner, had a great game against Rice, 2 catches for 54 yards, 2 returns for 49 yards. How will he factor into this game?
Well, I really think with the receivers, our inside guys, Will Fuller and Amir Carlisle. Amir Carlisle is the starter. His ability to get off the line is going to be critical, and they talked about how physical and aggressive Michigan's defensive backs will be. And that inside receiver is going to be the guy that's going to have the best opportunity to get off the ball, because usually he's not on the ball to where you can get up in his face. So he'll have a little more running room. And you see here on this corner route, the seam route here, he makes the catch. That's that ability to get inside the safeties, use his speed. Good job setting up the safety, sticking him. And then, later on he had a corner route that he caught. But this is the guy that, along with Will Fuller, we're going to be key components in the passing game and the ability to stretch the defense vertically and open up some opportunities for our outside guys. So I'm looking for, Amir Carlisle to really step up. You see him here on the corner route. Again, opposite of what we ran the seam route where he stuck and went to the post. This time we shift the pocket, move the pocket. He gets over the top. He's running off the safeties. Usually this is the guy that's going to be playing off the safeties and the linebackers. So can they run with him? I don't think they can, and that's where I think Amir Carlisle is going to have an impact in this game, is his ability to work the inside of the defense.
I'm very excited to see Carlisle, but Procise and Fuller too, after they have huge games. It does a lot for a kid's confidence, and I'm waiting to see how they respond against the Wolverines. And now your 3 keys to the game, Reggie, and the first one I think is pretty obvious for both teams. Win the big play battle. How does that change momentum in games?
Well, those explosive plays. We talk about, those runs of over 20 yards, pass plays over 25, 30 yards. When you're able to get big chunks of yardage, it really impacts the psyche of the game, of the opposite team. So the ability to win the big play battle is going to come down to discipline on the back end for each one of the teams. Whose safeties can cover down on those defenders. And like here on this play, safety sits on a route, a guy runs by him. We cannot sit on routes. We have to understand what our keys are. And our receivers on our end, you see here, play action, use that speed, go after their safeties and attack their safeties downfield and get those big chunk yardage plays. And that's going to really help us, open this game up. I mean, I really think whoever wins this big play battle is going to, set the tone for the entire game. Because if you can win that big play, you get eating up a lot of chunk yardage, and you're putting yourself in a position to make plays like this and getting the ball in the end zone.
I think it's very interesting you said during the presser, Reggie, how both of these teams are very similar, so it'll make it easier to practice against that, second team defense and offense. And you got to think these type of things are factored into those daily practices for both the Wolverines and the Irish. Your second key to the game, pressure Devin Gardner. He looked pretty sharp against App State. 13 for 14, 173 yards, 3 touchdowns. He left the game in the third quarter. How important is it to get some pressure in the face of the big Michigan quarterback?
We saw with against Rice the importance of, and Coach Kelly talked about in the press conference, and pressure is getting him off his points, not allowing him to get comfortable in the pocket, forcing him to step right, step left. Don't let him get comfortable, and then don't let him run. A part of that is also containing him with the mobile quarterback. Yeah, you want to get pressure, but at the same time, you don't want to break down the rush lanes and give him openings to break your defense down and get into the secondary or get to that next level. So containment and pressure. So collapse that pocket around him. The ends, when they get upfield, they have to be measured in how far they get upfield, so they're not creating lanes underneath that allow him to escape out the back end. And you see it, with our front seven this past week. Rice's quarterback was quite mobile, but we kept him off balance. He was never sure of where we were coming from, and that goes back to the defensive pressures that we're going to see. But I really feel we have to actually get there this time. Against Rice, we were right there in a position. You see here where we forced the interception. That's not being comfortable in the pocket, getting out of the pocket, but keeping that pressure on him, forcing him to step up, forcing him to pull the ball down, and then have someone to keep him contained. And when we get there, we got to make the play.
And lastly, the third key to the game for you, Reggie, hidden yardage in special teams. You heard Coach Kelly say it in the press conference where the turf lended itself to making quicker cuts, getting off the ball faster, planting their feet. I loved what Cody Riggs and Greg Bryan and Amir Carlisle did in the return game. You feel like they're going to pop one off any second. So talk about special teams, and Michigan did block a punt for a touchdown in that App State game too.
Exactly. The thing that, stat that I want to say, average starting position for our offense, the 36-yard line. 25 versus 36, you're talking 11 yards, but those 11 yards are huge. That can be the difference between being being a touchdown and being a punt. And that's the thing that you don't really see these. You look at that return yardage, and right here he takes the ball on about the 19-yard line, makes the plant, gets upfield, and he's running, and he gets up close to the 44-yard line. That is a huge chunk of yards where your offense could have been starting maybe on the last couple of years we'd have been starting about the 20, and the difference is instead of starting on the 19, we're starting on the 45. We're starting here, making a great play. We're starting on their side of the field. Those hitting yards through punts, coverage, our punt coverage looked a lot better. Kickoff coverage, it's great having a kicker that can put the ball in the end zone so you're not worried about a return. So all these things factor in to where their average starting, they were starting about the 25-yard line where we're 11-yard difference, and that's because we're doing a better job of containing and getting down the field using speed from a personnel standpoint to speed to power to get down there in the cover. And on the return game, as he said, we got some fearless guys that can get that ball back and going back in north and south in the direction that you want it to go.
Big kudos to special teams coach Scott Booker. He's done a fantastic job. I know he's put a lot of work into that unit. But wrapping things up, we can't talk Notre Dame, Michigan without showing some vintage Reggie Brooks magic. Bush queued up the video. Number 1 Notre Dame, number 4 Michigan, September 15th, 1990. Elvis Gerbach driving for the Wolverines. Tell me about the freshman from Tulsa, Reggie Brooks, the defensive back.
That was the one thing that, coming in, I was considered an athlete, and we didn't have a lot of, I was actually I didn't think there was no defensive back recruited in my year, so we were a little thin. We graduated a few guys, so, it's kind of like what they were talking about, James Anawalu. You go where you're needed. You be up wherever you can get on the field and play. And that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get out there and have an opportunity to play, and I was able to make a play on the defensive side of the ball that that really helped seal the game.
And the video's queued up here. September 1992, Notre Dame, Michigan. They call it the unconscious touchdown. What can you say about this pitch from Rick Meyer that you haven't said before, Reggie?
Well, I knew he was going to pitch it. That was first and foremost. Rick was not he was not a big option quarterback. He didn't want to take the hit. So I knew I was going to get the ball when I saw, like I said, when we got to the edge. But it still comes down to you just play the game. You have fun. You have fun playing the game. You have fun with your teammates. And, as I talk to a lot of the guys on the current team, enjoy this because it doesn't last long.
You had some big moments against Michigan. How bad do you want Notre Dame to win?
Oh, my gosh, we have to win this game. Because I know of several Michigan guys that I played against, that I keep in contact with, and if we don't win, I know I'm going to hear about it. So, fellas, I don't want to hear Michigan's mouth. So let's take care of business.
That'll do it for us today. Irish fans, remember, Watchin' D is your home for all kinds of great Notre Dame football content. Seriously, get on there right now. Once you click off this on our website, bring up the app on your smartphone and tablet and look at all this great exclusive stuff from the Rice game. And a lot of great content, of course, coming up here on Watchin' D this week of Thursday Night Classics. It's going to be another great one against Michigan. The Brian Kelly radio show's on Thursday. We got men's soccer, number 1 men's soccer versus Dartmouth in Kentucky this weekend. And, of course, Reggie will be back with Jack Nolan on the post-game radio show following the Michigan game. So, for Reggie Brooks, I'm Ryan Camden. Go Irish, beat Wolverines.